There are little things harder to do than to admit that you're wrong and apologize for something. But once you get into the habit, it's actually kind of fun. So in this video, let's discuss why it is one of the hardest things to do as a human being, but also why it being hard also makes it one of the greatest ways to appear modest and emotionally mature in social settings. There are two main things that make saying sorry excruciatingly difficult. The first reason being that you need to first admit that you're wrong. Second, actually going up to the person that you've quote-unquote wronged and saying, hey, I messed up and that was kind of stupid of me. But if you're watching this video, you're probably already more mature than 95% of the human population. And that's to say, including fully grown adults, because nobody even begins to consider the ways they might have been wrong. So let's take it step by step. You need to start by analyzing the situation you're repenting for. First of all, ask, hey, was I actually wrong? And second off, is saying sorry extremely weird under my specific context? Because if you don't ask and answer these questions, you'll end up in one of the two following situations. For example, that you didn't do anything completely wrong. Let's say that you got into a fight and it wasn't really your fault. The other person was the one throwing the punches at first. So you go up to that person and apologize. You take the blame 100% on the cheek, on the chest, whatever, and say, yeah, it was my fault, I messed up. No, you don't do that, because you just look like a bitch. Instead, you should go up to that person and commence what I like to call peace negotiations. And that basically means just saying, hey, I was kind of in the wrong and I shouldn't have escalated the situation. You take half of the blame. And guess what? Evenly spreading the guilt out is already so emotionally mature and modest and just so respectable that you'll probably leave with a handshake regardless. If you go up to the person and admit a sliver of guilt, yeah, that's probably enough to make amends with that person. If it's the type of person you actually want to make amends with, or if they're very clearly upset still. Secondly, if you apologize to somebody you've wronged like 5 years ago and who you're talking with on a daily, maybe even weekly basis, you'll probably just end up looking like a creep. When I was in 5th grade, this is just a personal random anecdote. When I was in 5th grade, me and my class took a sort of field trip to a Korean shop to drink boba tea for reasons I do not remember, and which, even if I would probably not answer to because they would be completely ridiculous. Whatever. Me and one of my classmate friends come out of the shop, boba teas in hand, and start drinking. This was obviously like 3 years ago. I'm in 8th grade now. I was 11, so I don't judge myself too harshly. But boba tea in hand, liquid in mouth, I go up to my friend, pretty close to my friend. I'm here, he's down here. Not only because he's slightly shorter, but because he was sat down, and say cheers. Now, obviously, due to my speech, my poorly timed speech, what was in my mouth eventually ended up on his jacket, to which he obviously screamed in horror. That was 3 years ago. He categorically has forgotten. There is no way he still is holding a grudge against me because of that. If I go up to him and apologize for it now, I probably should have apologized for it like 5 minutes after it happened, 2 seconds after it happened, but whatever. If I go up to him now, not only am I reminding him of past sin, but it also comes off as extremely random, unnecessary, and kind of just strange in general. Use your common sense. But if the thing you did wrong was 100% your fault, happened recently, and the person you want to apologize to is still very clearly upset, then you got your answer. You gotta apologize. If not for just purely saving face, at least for a bit of practice. Apologizing is a skill that we all need to develop. because we don't do it nearly enough. We need to be doing it on a daily basis because we all make mistakes. Of course, don't be like Canadians. That's kind of a bad stereotype, but don't be like Canadians where when you apologize, I don't know, 40 times per second, maybe, and just come off as insecure. I'm not saying Canadians are insecure. It was the first people group that came to my mind who are known for saying sorry too much. Don't say sorry 50 times per second. It's not worth it. But give heartfelt and genuine apologies on a daily basis. I think that's a good dose. One apology a day keeps the social monsters away. Next step, which is actually going up to that person and saying, hey, I'm sorry, is arguably harder or arguably easier. Depends with what you have issues with. Ego or social interaction. If you have issues with ego, then it's probably going to be extremely hard to even admit to yourself the fact that you did something wrong. But if you have problems with social interaction, and I'm saying this to you as an introvert that has basically forced themselves to become an extrovert, yeah, it's still pretty hard to go up to a person, especially if they're part of a group or whatever, and say, hey, remember when, or hey, what I did last week, last time, whatever, was kind of messed up. I'm sorry. Depends on you, but socially, it's kind of harder. This step is kind of harder. It's a two-step process, damn it. Go up to that person and remember the following script. If the event has happened recently and there is a lot of pressure on you to apologize, just say, hey, I'm sorry for what happened yesterday, last week, last time, whatever. It was kind of stupid of me. If it happened a long time ago, and the person is still upset about it, and admittedly kind of a pussy, just go up and say, hey, remember insert event? I'm sorry about that, it was kind of stupid. In these types of situations, it's obviously better to remind them because they obviously have not forgotten. And that's pretty much it. If you've watched this video to the end, if you've clicked on it, if you've watched every single second of it, you're already halfway there. Because realizing that you need to apologize and thinking of ways of apologizing is the first step to a coherent apology. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you like philosophy, sociology, psychology, calisthenics. What more was there? Whatever. If you like social sciences, if you like exercise, if you like being a human being and breathing air, drinking H2O, yeah, that's the way you say it in English. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I'll see you later, and hopefully stronger than ever.